Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to call up Cruz 2, which is an amendment that would prohibit those who are here illegally from being eligible for means-tested benefits, federal, state, or local. And in addition, would exclude those individuals from being eligible for Obamacare. As we have just been discussed, I am a proponent of expanded legal immigration. I think it is one of the great strengths of our nation that we welcome people from around the world coming to seek a better life and coming to seek the American dream. And yet, one of the greatest challenges to being welcoming with immigrants is our ever-expanding welfare state. Indeed, in a striking exchange that I would encourage people to Google and watch, Milton Friedman, the late economist, discussed the fact that prior to 1914, the United States had no limits on legal immigration, that we opened our doors to any who wanted to come throughout the country. And that was a state of affairs that was widely acceptable and positive for our country. Obviously, since 1914, we have had caps, and what Milton Friedman asked then is what changed? And he pointed out, and Milton Friedman was a vocal advocate of expanded immigration, he pointed out that what changed is we started to see the expansion of the ever-growing welfare state. And right now, our country spends roughly $1 trillion in federal and state means-tested welfare plans. There are approximately 7 billion people in the world. We don't have the resources to redistribute from hardworking American taxpayers welfare benefits to the many people throughout the world who are struggling. This bill would address that issue. The current Gang of 8 bill excludes federal welfare benefits, but it does not exclude state and local benefits, which means the instant this bill were passed, if it were passed, the roughly 11 million people who are here illegally would suddenly be eligible for billions, if not tens of billions of dollars in state and local means-tested welfare payments. Beyond that, this bill also allows for all of those who are here illegally to be eligible for means-tested welfare payments after they transition to LPR status. This provision instead would say that those who are here illegally shall not be eligible for state welfare payments, that we're going to protect the hardworking taxpayer. And I would note, one of the things that I think we want to do to continue to remain a strong economy going forward is welcome those from throughout the world who will come and work hard to stand on their own feet, to achieve the American dream, to provide for their family. And if we have a system where people are coming here not to be eligible for government welfare, but instead to have a chance at the American dream, that makes us stronger. And so I would urge the committee to adopt this amendment. I'd like to say two things in conclusion.
Morris, go ahead.
First of all, I think it's unfortunate that my friend from Illinois would cast aspersions in terms of my motivations and what I am saying, and in particular saying, we don't want you here. I would note that among the amendments that I've introduced are two amendments to expand legal immigration, and one of those two, every member on the Democratic side of the aisle voted against, said no, we don't want more high-skilled immigrants here, and voted not to increase high-skilled temporary workers by 500%. This is an issue that is near and dear to many of us on this committee. It is near and dear and personal to a great many of us. And the purpose of the amendments that I have introduced here are to fix the problem, to secure our borders, to improve legal immigration, and to fix the problem, which is what I think a bipartisan majority of Americans want. I think it is unfortunate that this committee was prepared to do nothing on immigration if a path to citizenship is not included, to leave the 11 million in the shadows if a path to citizenship is not included. I think that is a less than compassionate outcome. And I also think the Senator's statement that he believes that those who are here illegally should be eligible for means-tested welfare, should be eligible for all sorts of means-tested benefits, is inconsistent with the repeated statements of the proponents of this bill. The proponents of this bill have been on television frequently in the past weeks and months saying those who are here illegally would not be eligible for welfare. And yet my friend from Illinois gave an impassioned speech as to why he believed we had a moral obligation to extend welfare benefits to those who are here illegally. And I would note that if the proponents of this bill believe what is being said on television, this amendment should be adopted unanimously, because this amendment codifies what the proponents of this bill have been telling the American people, that these individuals will not be eligible for Obamacare, will not be eligible for welfare. And the fact that my friend from Illinois has such visceral disagreement with it, I think makes clear that one of the consequences of this bill, if this bill were passed, would be to put yet another burden on hardworking taxpayers that would harm our economy and ultimately would encourage yet more illegal immigration. Because if the status quo is that those who come here illegally shall be granted citizenship and given welfare benefits, then ultimately I think that is disrespecting rule of law. One of the reasons people come here is because, unlike many nations in the world, rule of law means something here. We don't simply set aside our law. And I think kicking the can down the road, not solving this problem, is inconsistent with the obligation all of us have. And I would urge the committee to adopt the amendment.